guys, my name is Savannah, and today we're back in Prehistoric Kingdom with another speed build. It's about time. Unfortunately, I haven't put out a speed build for Prehistoric Kingdom in quite a while, so I'm really excited to get into this one today. So basically, we are building just a one-off build that I actually started a month ago or so, whenever they released the desert update that gave us this beautiful map and a bunch of new build pieces and just kind of the desert aesthetic. I was so excited about that update because I love the contrast of the orange sand with the blue sky and the green of the foliage and things like that. So I was really excited to get to build on this brand new map, and it took me a little longer than expected. I'll kind of get into where I've been and what I've been up to, but let me finish telling you about what we're doing. So we're building a one-off build, meaning that I'm just in a map and I'm building this habitat. It's not part of any zoo or current project. I just wanted to get in and kind of make an idea that I kind of had rolling around in my head come to fruition. So we're working on the indoor viewing area, which will not have an interior. It will have an exterior. It will not have an interior. And if you know me, it's because I don't like doing interiors, so I didn't build one. But basically, this would be the little building that they would get to go into, they being the guests, and get to see the dinosaurs from behind a glass panel. Very thick, hopefully, glass panel. And inside this exhibit, I haven't even told you what we're building for today. It's the Dilophosaurus, if you haven't been able to guess that by the title and the thumbnail. So this is the, like I said, the interior building. There would be some information in there, you know, benches, things like that. If it was raining or hot out or whatever, guests would be able to go in there and kind of get out of the sun or whatever weather. But there is also plenty of viewing around the perimeter of the exhibit. So there is tons of viewpoints for the actual exhibit itself. So no matter where the dilos are, the guests could hopefully get a good view on them. Now, as always, I'm working off of a reference picture, and I just loved the shape of the building. So it's kind of got this geometric kind of shape to it. And with Prehistoric Kingdom's items being resizable, it actually makes it a little bit easier to do these kind of weird shaped builds, because you can kind of stretch and push all the different pieces to fit what you're building. So overall, I think it came out really well. If you look too close, you might see a little bit of stretching with the patterns on some of the pieces that I've kind of stretched a little bit too far, but from far away, it looks just fine. And for my purposes, I think it looks just fine. Really happy with how the door came out. I wanted to do a little bit of detailing on there as well with the handles and things. And again, because the sizes are because the pieces are resizable, is what I meant to say, it makes it easy to get in and do lots of detailing things. The perimeter of this exhibit is then made up of wire fencing. I do go through 2 iterations of what this habitat actually is made up of. I started first making a fence out of wood pieces and making it a little bit more rustic. And then as I looked at it, I was really unhappy with the aesthetic that it was giving comparative to this building. This building is a very geometric, very modern looking building, even though it's built with natural materials. This mud is what I meant to say. The mud texture, stucco, whatever it's called in game, I actually forget what it's called, is a very kind of organic texture to it, but it's still with its shapes and its sharp edges, very geometric and modern looking. It really didn't go cohesively with the fence that I ended up building, that you'll see because I did leave it in. I do like to leave in as much as I possibly can within reason the iterations that I go through to get to my final product, because I never know what is going to inspire you guys. And I also want to show you that, you know, people on YouTube, content creators, we don't always just sit down and bust out a build first time, first try, no big deal. This one actually took me cumulatively probably 4 hours. I sat down and completed this build in 3 different build sessions, because that's how inspiration and creativity comes. It comes and it goes, and I'll sit down for a couple hours, build on something, either get bored or honestly get frustrated, and then take a break and come back to it when I'm ready. And that's kind of how my creative process works. So I try my best to reflect that in a lot of my videos. And then, as I mentioned already, I never know what's going to inspire you. You might look at this building and hate it, but look at the fence that I didn't like and think it might go really well with a project that you're currently working on. So I like to leave it in, that way you guys can see it. That's kind of the point of these videos, is to share creativity and hopefully help you guys get inspired and hope you get a little bit more motivation for building things. That being said, I also did upload this to the workshop because Prehistoric Kingdom does now have Steam Workshop capabilities. And so I went ahead and I threw this entire exhibit up on the workshop. It's been there for quite a while. I uploaded it right when I finished building the build, and now I'm just now getting around to recording the voiceover. But yeah, if you find me on the workshop and search for this, there should also be a link in the description below. It might be a link, now that I'm thinking about it, to my Planet Zoo workshop, but same thing, you can just, navigate over to Prehistoric Kingdom and search simply Savannah, and it should be there. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. And if you make any tweaks or use it in your project, you guys can always shoot me a picture on Twitter, send it over on our Discord. I absolutely love to see what you guys are up to and what you guys are building. So if you're not already part of our Discord, there is of course a link down below for you to join. If you need help with any game mechanics, or need help finding inspiration, or you don't know how to do something and you need help, there's lots of wonderful people over there that are willing to help, and I always kind of chime in when I can to make sure I get you guys help if you need it. So this is up on the workshop, and you guys are welcome to build with it as you want. But let me get into where I was and why this took me so long. So this took me so long, one, because I'm juggling a whole bunch of different things. We also cover Planet Zoo and Jurassic World Evolution 2. I've got some zoo tour vlogs that are up on the channel. And I also do work full time. I'm a keeper myself, and I work with animals. I work 40 hours a week. And so I don't necessarily always have all the time in the world to dedicate to my YouTube stuff. In addition to that, I'll talk about it very briefly. I did also start my own Etsy shop. So if you guys are looking for handmade adorable animal stickers, and I do have some dinosaur designs coming very, very soon, that link is down in the description, and I'm very excited about the shop. It's going to be a lot of work to get it up and off the ground and running. So any support is greatly appreciated. Even if you don't want to make a purchase, just going over to Etsy, and I think it's called favoriting the shop or items, really helps me out, because Etsy works a lot like social media. So it has that kind of integrated into it. So yeah, if you guys want to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. But it's taking me a lot of time because I'm designing all the stickers, and I'm also hand making them at my house, which means printing and laminating and cutting. And it's very time consuming, but hopefully the end product is worth it and you guys enjoy that. On top of that, unfortunately, I've been dealing with some chronic sickness. So I actually have an appointment today, when you're watching this, if it goes live, for a CT scan on my face, because I've been having some bad problems with congestion and my sinuses. I had an allergy test done, so hopefully I will get the results of that tomorrow as well. But basically just trying to investigate and see what's going on, because I've had this chronic congestion, and I've also been sick 3 different times in the last 4 months or so, which could just be me being really, really unlucky. But it's always kind of a head cold, congestion, sore throat kind of thing. So we're trying to figure out if there's anything going on inside my face that's making this happen. I did have an injury when I was younger. I broke my nose and crushed my sinus. So there is a bit of trauma to one side of my face, and I have a pretty severely deviated septum. So I know there's some stuff going on, but in my adult life, I never really did anything to investigate or fix that. So anyway, healthcare here in the United States takes forever, and I originally started this process back in December. It's now March, and I'm just getting my diagnostic tests and doctor's appointments and stuff like that done, because you have to wait forever to get anything like that done here, which is a little bit frustrating, but I'm trying to be patient, so hopefully I get some answers. But as you can imagine, being sick so often while also still having to maintain my 40-hour-a-week job has been a bit taxing and very tiring. So unfortunately, there's been many days where I've come home from work or I've been off from work and I just relax and do things around the house. Because of course, on top of that, you know, I have to cook food, I have to grocery shop, I have to do laundry, all the fun stuff that comes with being an adult. I don't know why I ever wanted to be one. If I could go back to being a child, it would be great, because then you have parents that can help you with things and don't have all these responsibilities, because adulting is difficult. But long story short, that's where I've been over the last month and a half, really 2 months. But I have made some changes in the way that I organize myself, the way that I plan out my content creation. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting some videos out on a more regular weekly basis. Maybe 1 or 2 shooting for the stars, maybe 3 or 4, but we'll see. I have a couple more speed builds for Planet Zoo already built and edited. They just need the voiceover. So after this, I'm going to go talk about those. And hopefully I can get those rolling. I'm also trying to focus more on TikToks and Reels and short form content like that, because, you know, it's social media and unfortunately that's what's trending right now. It's not my favorite thing to do, but if I want my channel to continue to grow and reach more people, it's kind of what I'm gonna have to do, I'm thinking. Anyway, let's actually get back to the build. I'm done telling you where I was and what I've been up to. This fence here, like you can see, I've left the entire thing in, made it with logs and some of the fence pieces. And I do like this fence and I do keep the overall structure of it, but I basically change out everything for metal instead, just to give it a little bit more of a modern feel and not so rustic. I also had to remind myself that I'm not necessarily just building for a tiger. I'm not necessarily just building for a bear. I'm building for a dinosaur. And unfortunately, obviously they don't live in real life. I really shouldn't say unfortunately. I don't know if that would be the best thing if humans and dinosaurs shared space, but they don't live. So we don't know what we would need to contain them or anything like that. Really, we can speculate, obviously, but nothing is set in stone, known for sure. So I had to remind myself that I probably needed a little more beefy of a fence. My Dilophosaurus could probably either climb right out of that or break right through it. It just didn't look that secure. So in my new design, not only do I still have that angled bit at the top that essentially would probably be electrified, it would be some sort of hot wire or electrified fence. I put a little thing at the bottom as well that sticks out that kind of deters the animals from getting too close from the fence itself and therefore too close from the guests, because obviously dinosaurs are very dangerous creatures and guests are very stupid. So we want to make sure that they are unable to whatsoever put fingers through the fence and, you know, I guess with dinosaurs it would be, you know, die, not just like lose a finger. Because we've all seen the Jurassic Park movies. We know what happens when a dinosaur gets a hold of a human. So I just want to make sure, you know, liability reasons, my park is as secure as it could be. But I do sit on the fence for a while. I do kind of work on this front-facing area to get the overall layout and the overall look. And at this point, I'm going in to try to mark out exactly where I want the exhibit to be. And this is another area that I'm still in a bit of a learning curve, is that dinosaurs are a lot bigger than bears or elephants, or I mean, in some cases they might be the same size as elephants, but my point being is that they're big creatures and they're gonna need a lot of space. And so you can see here, when I originally start this back wall here, this is a tiny exhibit. Would be great for something like a big cat, But for a Dilophosaurus, when I actually put them in this habitat, way too small. So I do have to go back and make it a whole lot bigger so that the dinosaurs have enough room to roam around. I also really struggled with how the back holding area should be laid out and what it should look like. Again, because dinosaur fencing and gates and things need to be a lot more secure. So right now I'm taking the prefab of the hatchery that Prehistoric Kingdom has in the game, and my plan was just to take these doors and to make them match the fencing of the front of the habitat. So you can see here, I'm essentially doing the opposite of what I end with. I'm taking all the metal pieces and I'm changing them all to wood pieces, and I'm taking all the dark tones and changing them all to light tones. I essentially revert all of this back, but make my own fence because honestly, I forgot that I used these in the first place, because as you can see here, I've deleted it. I replaced all of the fencing as well. That part I did unfortunately not record because I am super smart and very good at my job. But you can see all the fencing is now replaced and we're working on the interior of the habitat. I also made it a whole lot bigger, as I was saying, because the Dilophosaurus needed a lot more room to roam around. But giving them this little water here, I'm very excited for some of the updates that Prehistoric Kingdom is going to be implementing with the updates. Hopefully, I think they're coming in March, but they released a dev diary, which I do have a video going over on the channel if you want to check that out, but basically showed us that they're working on more animal animations, including swimming. So I'm really excited to see the animals interact with water and swim around just like they kind of walk around on land. But this pond obviously is not deep enough for the Dilophosaurus to swim. So right now they just kind of walk through it. But that was the whole point, was just to have a little pond that they can walk up and get some drinking water from. Moving on to foliage, trying to use a lot of the brand new foliage that was added with the desert update, which I think was the last big update that we actually got scenery and pieces with. We got a little update that added, oh gosh, my memory is just absolutely non-functional, so I apologize. But anyway, we got an update that had a lot of desert pieces and a lot of foliage. So I'm trying to use that throughout, kind of a mixture of desert and scrubland, just to give it some greenery. I didn't want it to be all cactus and all succulent looking, just to give it some kind of lushness to it, contrasting with the sand and the dirt that the entire habitat is made up of. Here, our little viewing area, you can see that I replaced some of the fencing with glass. That's because this area is an area that guests can go right up next to the fence. There's no secondary fencing or anything like that, so guests are able to go up, put their hands on the glass, and get close. I think that's a really cool feature of a lot of different exhibits in zoos that I've visited, where you can see here I'm putting a secondary fence and the path kind of curves away from the exhibit a little bit, but at some points letting the guests actually get very close lets them get close to the animals, lets them kind of see them in detail, and with Dilophosaurus, I'm imagining it would be very terrifying because despite the fact that there's glass there, I don't know how much I would actually trust the glass's ability to contain the human-eating dinosaur. But in this video game in Prehistoric Kingdom, everything is safe and everything is fine because the dinosaurs can't escape yet. So they are perfectly contained. And then one of my favorite parts about these rocks also, by the way, are getting an update, and I am so excited. But the rocks being able to be scaled allows me to make these really easy back rock walls to exhibits without making them like 100 feet deep. Like, they don't have to be massively wide in order to build a wall, because you can flatten them and prop them upright to make more of a skinny wall. Here we are grabbing our Dilophosauruses and putting them in. I had done an overview video, so they were sitting over there in a plain habitat. So I just grabbed 3 of them and plopped them over here. I did spend some time recording some of their animations because I'm really enjoying some of the animations that are already in the game. Even though they are adding more, the ones that are already in the game make the dinosaurs seem so lifelike and they're so much fun to watch. I am getting a little bit of a bug, and I'm not sure if it's something that Prehistoric Kingdom is aware of or if they're working on it. I'm sure they're still making improvements to them, but I find if I move my dinosaur manually too much, eventually it stops giving me any animations at all and it just stands. It doesn't move, and I have to create a new one in the hatchery, place it in the exhibit to get it to do things. And basically this only becomes a problem for me because I'm OCD and I need the dinosaurs to be in a certain placement so that I can film with good lighting. And so I pick them up and place them where I want them to be and then wait for them to do an animation. And once I do that over and over again, because they do not always do it the first or even the 10th time, then they stop giving me animations altogether. So something that I'm running into, but I'm sure that they are working on and will be fixed with future animation updates. I'm working on the back fencing of this habitat here and taking a lot of inspiration from the, oh goodness, I'm gonna forget. It was one of Dr. Wu's hybrids in the new Jurassic World movies. It's the one that turns white. Oh, let me know, because I'm failing. I'm so sorry. It's the end of the day and my brain is done working. But basically taking inspiration from that habitat from the movie, I just kind of searched. What did I search? I think I searched like dinosaur fencing or something like that. And the exhibit came up. So I was just kind of taking that to make a back gate somewhere where the dinosaurs would be brought in and out of the exhibit. And then doing this top fencing as well. Although I realized that I probably should have faced this fencing the other way. But my idea was, and my thought process behind this, was that behind this would be a holding paddock, or multiple probably, so that you can shift the dinosaurs on and off exhibit. Because obviously Dilophosaurus is not going to be an animal that you're working free contact with. You're going to have to shift them so that you can get into the exhibit without them actually being in there to, avoid death. So I'm really happy with how the fencing came out. I just didn't continue it to do that backstage holding paddock for them because this really had taken too long. And I have to try to keep these videos to a maximum of 30 minutes is usually what I try to aim for. 20 minutes is more ideal, just for, viewer retention time. And we're at about the 22-minute mark. So if you're still here, pats on back for you and kudos because I really appreciate you. Gold star. So thank you for watching. But then we're just going to finish up the rocks and the foliage on the inside of the exhibit. And I love those little green bushy, they're not really cactus, but I'm using them as little grass pieces. I love that they're bright green and the shape and the fact that we can scale and sink them down in the ground just makes it perfect. And then using some of these dead branches and logs and things just to give more detail. I really don't know anything about what a Dilophosaurus would actually want in their habitat. So if I've gotten anything wrong, please let me know down below. I didn't do any sort of research on where Dilophosaurus are actually from. Everything that I've seen of them is going to be in the movies, and they're always kind of in a jungle setting, but that's because the movies are filmed on Hawaii and they are all jungly, or that environment is all jungly naturally. So I have no idea where Dilophosaurus would actually be, or if this mimics anything like they would have in their natural environment. But just like many zoo animals, they're kept outside of their environments quite successfully. Other zoo animals are. Obviously, we have no idea about Dilophosaurus because they're extinct. But yeah, then we're just going to finish up the details around the outside. I really didn't do any guest-facing detail stuff, again, just because I ran out of time. And I didn't want this video to be super, super long. So I'm just kind of finishing the perimeter of it. That way, when I turn it into a blueprint, it's pretty much complete. So you guys can kind of plug it into whatever project you are working on, and it hopefully will mesh pretty well and you can then put some of your guest-facing stuff and have it cohesively built into your projects a little bit easier. We only have a few more minutes of the video, then we're going to get into some cinematics where I just kind of, filmed the exhibit, the dinosaurs walking around and whatnot, just to kind of show it off. And overall, I'm really happy about this. I want to build in Prehistoric Kingdom more, and I definitely want to continue Pangea Park. For those of you that don't know, Pangea Park is like our actual project in Prehistoric Kingdom, and right now it only has Dryosauruses and an entrance. So I do need to get working on that. I just don't know what animal to add next. I'm thinking it might actually be a aviary type build because it's still part of the entrance area and I wanted another smaller animal up front. So maybe I will, I'll start looking for inspiration on that and get going on Pangea Park. But there's 2 episodes, I think, already on the channel. So if you want to get caught up in the meantime while I'm still working on it, you can go check those out on the channel. And we're almost time for B-roll. This was a long one, you guys, and I'm very proud of myself for continuing to talk the entire time. But here you go. Here is the cinematics, the little glamour shots, if you will. And that means it's time for my outro. My goodness, it's time for my outro. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. All the YouTube stuff applies. If you liked it, if you made it this far, subscribe, like, leave a comment below. All my social media links are down below in the description, including Discord, as well as my Etsy shop. So if you want to check any of those out, support is greatly appreciated. And I do want to take a minute to thank my channel members. You guys are the real ones. I really do appreciate you guys and all that you do for the channel in making these videos possible. If you want to become a channel member, the join button is down below and you can get your name added to this wonderful list. Until next time, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye!